when it comes to what I would change, I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong, because there's best practices on things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have done something differently. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was wrong.
No, that was a big moment, because I remember that and I was like, "Ooh, we all here." It's a lot of people, but it was a powerful moment. I think for all of us, but especially I think as a leader, it had to be.
No doubt.
Awesome. Okay, next question for Coach Nazir, where I'm interviewing him. Woo. What is the legacy you want to leave for your children? I think you spoke on that a little bit, and especially your grandchildren and the generations to come. What is the legacy? What is the vision?
That's vague, because it depends on what type and what you want. Mm-hmm. First and only thing that's the most important thing is there's no success trading this life for the next. So ultimately, it's that we return to the truth of Islam, and that they hold on to that no matter what else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whether or not they remember where it's from or came from me or not, it doesn't came from me making a decision to become Muslim. From that aspect, clearly it's from Allah Ta'ala's Messenger, salam. But that will be the main thing: returning to who you are and getting rid of the other challenge which keeps people distracted and able to live fully, which is making sure you understand what money is, what is not, what fiat is and what is not, and how to earn it so that it's passive and it doesn't stop you up from chasing and living your dreams and living a fulfilling life, no matter where in the world, at whatever times. You have that tool as a resource for you to help you manifest what you really desire in life.
Next question would be, what is some of the most beneficial advice that you would give to men who want to enter polygyny?
Some of the most beneficial advice I'll give them is to become more than twice the man by working on, one, getting your financial intelligence up so you have things in place so far as passive income, because having a job is really not going to get it. That's not going to fund much of anybody's lifestyle in general. Two is increasing your emotional intelligence to be able to deal with the different dynamics that you're going to have to deal with women. We know that we have this strong desire and everything for women, but we know the Prophet ﷺ also let us know that he's left us with nothing with more fitna or trials and tribulations and challenges in it than women. So look at that. So you have to definitely increase your emotional maturity. So your financial, your emotional, then of course your mental. And with all of these things under those umbrellas are so much. So, when it comes to communication or, communicating, when it comes to your leadership, which really kind of is a separate category, but that's high on the list. So really those 4 pillars more than anything is to work on that, even if you don't intend to practice polygyny, but work on that as a man to become that much more attractive. And should you ever decide to, you already are attracting the type of people that are with it and are willing to follow your leadership easily. So those would be the 4 things. So 1, increasing your financial acumen, your emotional intelligence, your mental, and of course your leadership.
It's powerful stuff. I love this interview because it's from the perspective of not just men and husbands, but it's that leadership role, and I love that we speak about that. That's a hat that many of our husbands wear. And it's not easy, but that role is so important. It's for husbands and fathers. Alhamdulillah. Okay. All right. This is another one, and you can kind of tell which ones the wives have asked. and which ones are kind of picking around with. But this is one of the wives that asked specifically, if you could go back in time and change one thing you did wrong in polygyny in the past, what would it be? And again, this is Coach Nazir's perspective on his life and how he's lived it.
Say the question again.
Says, if you could go back in time and change one thing you did wrong, or one thing that you did wrong in polygyny in the past, what would it be?
Well, when it comes to what I would change, I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong, because there's best practices on things. Mm-hmm. So I'd have done something differently. That doesn't necessarily mean that it was wrong. Pardon the interruption. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that you could thrive better in the community that's more supportive? Now, I already know the answer to that. But did you know that Outstanding Personal Relationships actually has a community that is supportive and where we really hang out a lot? It has a number of areas and things like, for example, I deal with the men in the Kings and Men section, where we discuss a number of different men issues, whether it's polygyny related, parenting related, whatever it may be. This is where we communicate and connect.
And as an introvert, I love the idea of an online community. So we have that. And to be able to speak with like-minded people, speak with other wives, wives, whether you're an incoming wife, whether you're a first wife, a wife, period, in general, you only practicing monogamy, whatever the case may be, to be able to be in a community with people who understand what you're going through, understand any type of issues you have, and also being in a place where you have support from others, where it's not all over social media for everybody else to see.
Yes, and it is a safe space. So if you guys want to see us, or if you want to connect with us, come to our community.
Indeed. And like they said, it's private. All right. So you don't have to worry about your stuff being all over the place or all on social media, trying to find the comments and go scroll. We have the subjects. We have all this type of stuff. Just go to outstandingpersonalrelationships.com. Look on the top of the page. Click on community. We look forward to seeing you there. Back to the video. That would be to talk prior to the idea of polygyny. I would have talked way prior to it. We'd have had a conversation a long time ago when you were in my journal looking at one of my goals that had for a beautiful
that was
wife.
Open. Yeah.
Hey, this is my answer.
Right.
Slow down.
Right. He's right, though.
But we should have had a conversation after that point in time to discuss it more, so that we were on the same page and can address different challenges, stuff like that, should the opportunity have presented itself, which it eventually did. But that would have been best.
I'm so glad he brought that up, because that's what happened. He left his journal on my dresser open, and I was like, "Oh, 2 virtuous wives. Come on now, we're gonna have
2." They only said 2.
It said 2.
I should have had 4.
It didn't have 4 that day.
It was
Maybe
4 on
another
A&P
journal.
album. That's what it was.
Maybe there it is. What is that? What is the A&P album?
That's not part of the question.
They're like, wait a minute, because they get on the phone and in my DMs going, "What's that?" I'll let the brother tell you another day. That's for another video. But and that's been asked, and I would agree 100% with that, because what I did was waited. I'm like, well, he'll let me know. I don't have to bring it up. He'll tell me, And it's not like, what do we need from the store type conversation. This is something, if I could just add something to the end of this interview, I think it's something that women and men need to allow themselves the permission to do, is have that conversation about polygyny right away. Because then the husband doesn't have to guess if it's okay to talk about, if you're going to be receiving that conversation from him. And I think it's okay for women to understand that they can initiate that conversation, and it really lessens so much stress from the marriage, especially when you're Muslim like we are. We're practicing Muslims. I think it would have took some weight off of both of our shoulders, because I didn't bring it up because I'm like, I'll be overstepping. And then he didn't bring it up for obvious reasons, because it's like, I bring it up and then I got to hear her mouth, because I didn't want to share my husband. I was
already
20
had the book
years
in the
old.
house.
Right.
Polygamy in Islam book, Bilal Phillips.
Among many other books.
Not dealing with polygyny.
But not dealing with polygyny. But we had a library in our house, right. So I would encourage people to have a library in the home that deals with all types of things, personal development. For us as Muslims, Islamic books, polygyny books. It's so important to have those things so that we can normalize these conversations,
Right.
because society will be like, don't talk about it, just leave it alone, right?
Right. It's gonna go away.
It's good, and that is the society that I grew up in and the community
Just
that
ignore
we
it.
both grew up
Right.
in. Just leave it. And the leadership, we won't deal with that.
Like them
We
chest
don't
pains.
talk
Let's
about
just
it.
ignore it. It's all
Just
right.
ignore it, and it's not best practices for best results. The best thing to do is, like Coach Nazir said, is have that conversation early, get out the way, and then keep having continuous conversations as things change. Because as we're married, things change and people are allowed to change their minds. So let's be mindful of that. So I want to thank you for
Well, thank you, Coach Fatimah. It's been a pleasure to be here.
sitting with me, and I'll see you at home. But I enjoyed this. I'm so glad that you all asked for his perspective specifically, because each man is different and they make different decisions and different choices for their family, for their wife, for their wives, for their children. So yes, I thank him for his time. He's always booked and busy. So
Join us in the community. That's where we at.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're not part of the private OPR community, then definitely hit on that community tab on our website or in the description to join us, because that's where we have these conversations deeper. We go back and forth and so on. And there's a whole lot more stuff than what we put on social media. So
yeah,
we look forward to seeing you there.
yeah, and it's a safe space, right?
Indeed, it's anti-troll as ever.
It's an anti-troll space, and we have some for the kings and the queens, and it's really great. So yes,
Indeed, our bovine excrement meter is very short, so none of that here. Anyway, so we're gonna end with GLC. What we're gonna do?
Okay, ready?
You do the first two. So.
Make sure that you're growing intentionally, loving fearlessly,
And connecting on a higher level every single day. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Peace.
Here are 3 ways outstanding personal relationships can help you.
Make sure you guys are following us on our social medias at Outstanding Personal Relationships on YouTube and Facebook, and on IG at Outstanding Relationships.
And make sure you sign up for our email list, and you can actually email us at support@Outstanding Personal Relationships, where you will get updates on our new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored, as well as exclusive access to our lives and bonuses.
Absolutely. If you're looking for more polygyny education, make sure you visit polygamymasterclass.com. Now, if you're looking for coaching or counseling with either Coach Fatimah or Coach Nyla, you can find them at.
Make sure you visit me at CoachFatimah.com.
And myself at CoachNyla.com.
That's how we can help you. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.